Hey guys, it's Lindsay, and today we're talking about cameras, specifically the Sony a6400. Let's get into it. So the Sony a6400 was my first meaningful Sony camera experience since the now discontinued a6300 a couple of years ago. What you get in the 6400 is most of the main features of the 6500, but with a flippy up screen, and it adds in a headphone jack for audio monitoring. So this is important because I see a lot of my videographer homies running around with a6500s with these massive like Zoom H1 modules on top, just so that I can get a sense of the audio balance instead of just plugging in a microphone and a pair of headphones into the camera. But let's talk about cameras. I shoot on mobile phones because 1, I'm poor. 2, they do all the work for you. So I'm like one of those run and gun guys. I'm always on assignment, interviewing people, being demo things, and you have to take snaps while you're there. So it's like you're holding that conversation and you can't spend that mental energy on taking the pictures as well. So my first meaningful camera was the Panasonic G2. So that's a micro four thirds sensor, and I've built out my micro four thirds ecosystem to accommodate that. I also have a APS-C crop sensor, a Nikon D3200, which I use for very specific shots. That's normally like in studio or of like static things with 50mm lens. It takes very nice portraits as well. So my photographic priorities when it comes to buying a camera are usually all the controls being on the outside. So that's ease of use is what I call it. But that's just when you in the situation that I normally find myself in. You just want your fingers to find those little switches and knobs and things, and it's just muscle memory and you adjust everything. So Sony leans heavily on the touch screens, and that's the main interface where you're interacting with the device. So you're adjusting your focus through there, you're adjusting all those other like ISO and those sorts of settings. Outside of that, they like doubling up on buttons for different functions as well, which is not something that I dig so much. I love dedicated buttons for certain tasks. And I also rely heavily on exposure compensation because I'm a crap photographer. And I just want to leave something on its widest aperture so I can drive the fastest shutter speed, and then I can just play around with the brightness effectively to get a good shot. So I took the a6400 with me to document my kid's birthday party. We held it at this indoor sports arena that was converted into like this jumping castle heaven. So it's that really crappy yellow lighting and like green floors all the time and kids bouncing around everywhere. And I had a kit lens, which is a f3.5 lens maximum aperture, which is not the greatest for those sorts of environment. What I came away with was a pretty much 50% shot ratio. So like half of the shots that I took were usable. That ramped up as I started to get a better feel for the shutter speeds and like the apertures of the various zoom levels. So a lot of the shortcomings of the device came into effect here. Because like when you're setting up to shoot something and then something else happens elsewhere in your line of sight, and you quickly readjust, move, and shoot that. The lack of in-body stabilization means that you're not completely steady for that shot and you're already shooting a moving target. Like you're gonna get that ghosting. And that's what happened on a lot of the pictures. So where I can see the a6400 working is really in a studio or controlled environment. So if you're like a food blogger and you're trying to shoot your meal prep and making the dish and then shooting the stills of the dish afterwards, where you can set it on a tripod and set your settings and record yourself with that, viewing everything through a flippy up screen, that is an awesome situation for this. You also have access to the extensive E-mount range of Sony lenses, and you can put some amazing prime glass on there and take full advantage of that much lauded Sony color science, which I will admit is a bit better than what I've experienced on Panasonic and Fuji. But run and gun photographers would be better served looking elsewhere, like the new a6600, which was just recently announced, that has the in-body stabilization and brings the flippy up screen and the headphone jack from the a6400 to something that's now above the a6500. If you're somebody who knows their way around Sony controls, or you're only just getting into mirrorless cameras, this is a fantastic device for you. But for an old dog who has learned tricks on other sorts of devices, maybe not that great. But that's just my opinion. I'm Lindsay. If you like what I'm doing, like, subscribe, share. There's tech on this channel. There's political commentary on this channel. That's just who I am. Cheers.